Prime Minister Narendra Modi delivers keynote address at the 5th edition of Viva Tech today, one of the largest digital and startup events in Europe. PM says he invites the world to invest in India based on the 5 pillars of talent, market, capital, ecosystem and culture of openness. Twitter loses its intermediary status in India for failing to comply with the new rules. Union Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad questions Twitter's reluctance to follow Indian laws that protect the rights of victims of abuse and prevent misuse of the platform. Cabinet announces relief for farmers, subsidy for phosphatic fertilizers increased by 700 rupees. No burden on farmers. Also announces Deep Ocean Mission to explore biodiversity in deep sea, identify thermal energy zones and study climate change. BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra accuses the Congress party of spreading fake news and creating confusion over COVID vaccines made in India, assures that no calf serum is mixed in the vaccine, reasserts that vaccine is completely safe for use. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh addresses virtually the ASEAN Defence Ministers meeting plus, says India has strengthened its cooperative engagements in the Indo-Pacific based on converging visions and values for promotion of peace, stability and prosperity in the region. And US President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin meet for the first time in a decade in Geneva. The leaders shake hands at the opening of the summit. Tensions are high on a number of issues, from alleged Russian cyber attacks to Russia's role in the Ukraine. Welcome. First up, news from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to the 5th edition of Viva Tech. Now, the PM said that India offers what innovators and investors need. He said, our nation is home to one of the world's largest startup ecosystems. He said the government has implemented huge reforms across sectors in the country, and he invited the world to invest in India.
Nation is home to one of the world's largest startup ecosystems. Several unicorns have come up in the recent years. India offers what innovators and investors need. I invite the world to invest in India based on the 5 pillars of talent, market, capital, ecosystem and culture of openness. Indian tech talent pool is famous across the world. Indian youth have given tech solutions to some of the world's most pressing problems.
The Prime Minister also said that India is working actively to nurture a culture of innovation. He said India is the largest number of social media users. India has 75 million internet users.
India has 1.18 billion mobile phones and 75 million internet users. This is more than the population of several nations. Data consumption in India is among the highest and cheapest in the world. Indians are the largest users of social media. There is a diverse and extensive market that awaits you.
And talking about the impact of the pandemic, the Prime Minister said this pandemic is not only a test of resilience, but also a chance to build a more inclusive future for all. He said we must not abandon this innovative zeal to face the next challenge.
2 vaccines are being made in India and more are in the development or trial stage. On the government side, our indigenous IT platform, Arogya Setu, enabled effective contact tracing. Our CoWIN digital platform has already helped ensure vaccines to millions. Had we not been innovating, then our fight against COVID-19 would have been much weaker. We must not abandon this innovative zeal so that we are even better prepared when the next challenge strikes.
Right, let's now cut live to Union Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Harsh Vardhan's address on the issue of global drive to scale up TB prevention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Minister Harsh Vardhan, for your strong commitments followed by very concrete actions and important actions. The whole world is looking at India and inspired by your examples, and you shows by your concrete examples that ending TB is possible and even elimination TB. Thank you very much once again. And now I'm pleased to invite another champion, His Excellency Honorable Budi Gunadi Sadikin, Minister of Health, Indonesia. Indonesia is one of the pathfinding countries that has made progress in scaling up access to TB prevention and care services, including through engagement of other sectors and through the use of innovations. The leadership of President Joko Widodo.
Right, moving on to other stories we are tracking on this bulletin. The microblogging platform Twitter has lost legal indemnity in India because of its failure to comply with new IT rules. Twitter will now have to face penal actions just like other publishers. An FIR was filed in Uttar Pradesh against the social media giant over tweets on an assault that the police say attempted to incite communal trouble. Twitter has not yet complied with all the provisions of the rules that came into force on the 25th of May. Last week, the government had given one last chance to Twitter to comply with the new IT rules, as the microblogging platform had not made immediate appointments of key personnel mandated under the new guidelines that came into effect, as I said, on the 26th of May. Meanwhile, Union Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad has questioned Twitter's reluctance to follow the Indian laws that protect the rights of victims of abuse and prevent misuse of the platform. He said Twitter has failed to comply with the intermediary guidelines that came into effect from the 26th of May. Now, there are numerous queries arising as to whether Twitter is entitled to safe harbor provision. Further, Twitter was given multiple opportunities to comply with the same. However, it has deliberately chosen the path of non-compliance. The minister said culture of India varies like its large geography. Having said that, in certain scenarios with the amplification of social media, even a small spark can cause a fire, especially with the menace of fake news. And this was one of the objectives of bringing the intermediary guidelines. Speaking on Uttar Pradesh incident, the minister said what happened in the state was illustrative of Twitter's arbitrariness in fighting fake news. While Twitter has been ever enthusiastic about its fact-checking mechanism, its failure to act in multiple cases like Uttar Pradesh is perplexing and indicates its inconsistency in fighting misinformation. In a recent incident, Ghaziabad police registered an FIR against Twitter and Twitter India over the video of an elderly man being beaten up and assaulted in Loni area, which has gone viral. The police registered an FIR against social media site Twitter and journalists, including Rana Ayub, Sabah Naqvi and Mohammad Zubair. The online news platform The Wire and also Congress leaders Salman Nizami, Shama Mohammed and Maskur Usmani have also been named for allegedly sharing on Twitter a video of the incident and giving it a communal color without verifying the details. Moving on, the Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Modi, gave its approval to the proposal of a deep ocean mission with a view to explore deep ocean for resources and develop deep sea technologies for sustainable use of ocean resources. Now, the estimated cost of the mission will be rupees 4,077 crore for a period of 5 years to be implemented in a phase-wise manner.
The Cabinet approved Deep Ocean Mission. This will support blue economy. The main features of that are mineral study, 6,000 meters deep in sea. There will be deep sea ocean survey. There will be advanced marine station for ocean biology. And there will also be offshore ocean thermal energy part of mission. And more importantly, this is also our travel in the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Meanwhile, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, approved the proposal of the Department of Fertilizers for fixation of nutrient-based subsidy rates for P and K fertilizers for the year 2021-2022.
मोदी जी ने महत्वपूर्ण फैसला लिया कि किसानों के पर बोझ नहीं आना चाहिए, किसानों को 1200 रुपीज में ही खाद मिलना चाहिए। जो पहले 500 रुपीज सब्सिडी देते थे वो सब्सिडी बढ़ा के प्राइस 2400 हो गई, 2400 रुपीज हो गई, तो 1200 रुपीज सब्सिडी देने का फैसला किया। 1200 रुपीज में मिलती थी बैग, उसकी प्राइस इंटरनेशनल प्राइस के मुताबिक 2400 रुपीज हो गई। 2400 रुपीज में से 500 रुपीज हम सब्सिडी देते थे तो 1900 रुपीज उन्होंने मार्केट प्राइस कंपनियों ने रखी, तो 1900 रुपीज में किसानों को लेना पड़ेगा। तो मोदी जी ने कहा कि जी नहीं, 1200 रुपीज में ही किसान को मिलना चाहिए, तो और 700 रुपीज सब्सिडी बढ़ा दिया।
Right, in other news, India achieved a significant milestone in its ongoing COVID-19 vaccination drive. 26 crore 19 lakh 72,014 beneficiaries have been vaccinated so far. A total of over 28 lakh vaccine doses were administered in the last 24 hours alone. In all, over 4.49 crore persons across 37 states and union territories have received their first dose, and 8.95 lakh have received their second dose since the start of phase 3 of the vaccination drive. And more than 27.28 crore vaccine doses have been given to states and union territories, and over 1.82 crore doses are still available with states and union territories for administration. Dr. N.K. Arora, chairman of India's COVID-19 working group of the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization, has said the decision to increase gap between Covishield doses was taken on scientific evidence in a transparent manner, and there were no dissenting voices among the NT-AGI members regarding this decision. He said that the gap between two doses of vaccine had a major effect on its effectiveness. The gap between vaccine doses helps in developing immunity up to 60 to 80%.
Decisions are taken on scientific evidence. Adenovirus vectored vaccines behave differently in different contexts because the background circulation of the virus on which the COVID antigen is put in, they are different. And third is, India has made very robust mechanism to continuously look at what is the other ongoing scientific evidence. All decisions are science-based and done in a transparent manner. Whenever there is a dissent from any member of the NTAGI or COVID working group, this is documented into the minutes, and then only one moves forward with these decisions.
Right. Meanwhile, testing for COVID-19 continues in the country. As per Indian Council of Medical Research, a total of 38 crore 33 lakh 6,971 samples have been tested across the country so far. On Tuesday, as many as 19 lakh 30,987 samples were tested. The central government on Wednesday said that Covaxin doses do not contain newborn calf serum, as the serum is not an ingredient of the final vaccine product. There have been some social media posts regarding composition of the Covaxin vaccine, where it has been suggested that Covaxin vaccine contains a newborn calf serum. Now, facts have been twisted and misrepresented in these posts. The ministry clarified that the newborn calf serum is used only for preparation and growth of the Vero cells. Different kinds of bovine and other animal serum are standard enrichment ingredient used globally for Vero cell growth. The Vero cells are completely destroyed in the process of viral growth. Thereafter, this grown virus is also killed, inactivated and purified. Now, this killed virus is then used to make the final vaccine, and in the final vaccine formulation, no calf serum is used. Therefore, the final Covaxin vaccine does not contain newborn calf serum at all, and the calf serum is not an ingredient of the final vaccine product. And the BJP today completely rejected reports claiming that serum from newborn calves was used for Covaxin. Addressing a press conference, BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra said Covaxin is completely safe and it does not contain the calf serum.
साइंटिफिक कम्युनिटी ने और जो हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री ने अभी क्लैरिफिकेशन दिया है इस विषय को लेकर, वो क्लैरिफिकेशन पब्लिक डोमेन में मौजूद है और स्पष्ट रूप से ये क्लैरिफिकेशन और साइंटिफिक डोमेन आज हिंदुस्तान का कहती है कि कोवैक्सीन में कोई बछड़े का सीरम या गाय का खून नहीं है। कोई भी कोवैक्सीन में बछड़े या गाय का सीरम नहीं है, कोई भी खून नहीं मिला हुआ है, नंबर 1। और नंबर 2, यह वैक्सीन पूर्णतः सेफ है। इसमें किसी प्रकार का कोई अपभ्रंश, जिस प्रकार का एक कम्युनल एंगल देते हुए इसे अपभ्रंशित करने की कोशिश की जा रही है, ऐसा कोई अपभ्रंश नहीं।
He also hit out at the Congress party for misleading the people on this issue.
कांग्रेस पार्टी ने एक महापाप किया है, मैं इसे महापाप कहूंगा, क्योंकि जिस प्रकार का भ्रम कोवैक्सीन को लेकर, जो भारत में निर्मित वैक्सीन है, कोविड का वैक्सीन है, उसको लेकर जिस प्रकार का भ्रम आज कांग्रेस पार्टी ने सोशल मीडिया और प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके उनके प्रवक्ता ने फैलाया है, ये महापाप है।
All right, moving on. State governments have begun easing out lockdown norms following a dip in coronavirus infections in the country. Despite restrictions in 21 districts of Maharashtra, including Thane and Pune, will be relaxed on the basis of weekly corona positivity rate and availability of beds, the existing restrictions will remain in place to avoid congestion in Mumbai. Mumbai will continue to remain in the level 3 category of the Maharashtra government's unlock plan to ease the restrictions. And the world-famous Taj Mahal reopened for tourists today after 3 months. Taj Mahal was shut due to the COVID-induced lockdown. Only 650 tourists will be allowed at a time. Entry tickets are being sold online only. However, no such caps are in place for other monuments such as the Agra Fort or Fatehpur Sikri. Officials said the teams will be deputed to monitor the crowds at all times in the monuments, and no one will be allowed to enter without a mask. Meanwhile, the Archaeological Survey of India has now decided to reopen the monuments under its supervision as COVID cases are receding across the country. But the final decision has been left to the respective state governments and district magistrates under whose jurisdiction such monuments are located. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has called for a free and open Indo-Pacific in his virtual address at the ASEAN Defence Ministers Meeting Plus, or the ADMM Plus meeting. In the meeting, he attended via video conference, citing PM Modi's Act East policy. The minister emphasized on the centrality of ASEAN in the Indo-Pacific region. He said the respect for sovereignty of nations and peaceful resolutions of disputes in the Indo-Pacific via ASEAN mechanisms is key to peace and stability. He expressed concern for cyber threats such as ransom attacks and cryptocurrency theft. He said the age-old Indian philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam has never been more relevant in the times of this pandemic. He stressed that recovery from it is possible only if the entire humanity is vaccinated and globally available patent-free vaccines are available.
India calls for a free, open and inclusive order in the Indo-Pacific based upon respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of nations, peaceful resolution of disputes through dialogue and adherence to international rules and laws. India has strengthened its cooperative engagements in the Indo-Pacific based on converging visions and values for promotion of peace, stability and prosperity in the region.
And Minister Rajnath Singh said the immediate challenge facing us collectively is COVID-19, while stressing on the need for vaccination to fight the coronavirus.
The immediate challenge facing us collectively, COVID-19, the virus is mutating fast and testing our response as we find new variants that are more ineffective and potent. India is just emerging from a second wave that pushed our medical response to the limit. But the disruptive effect of the pandemic is still unfolding. The test is therefore to make sure that the world economy moves on the path of recovery and to ensure that the recovery leaves no one behind. I am convinced that this is only possible if entire humanity is vaccinated.
In Gujarat, 10 persons, including a child, were killed after their car collided with a truck coming from the opposite direction near Indranaj village in Anand district early this morning. The police said the accident took place on a state highway connecting Tarapur in Anand district to Vataman in Ahmedabad district. The car was going towards Vataman while the truck was coming from the opposite direction. And Prime Minister Modi expressed grief on the loss of lives in the road accident in Anand district in Gujarat. He extended his condolences to those who lost their near and dear ones. He also announced an ex gratia of ₹2 lakh each from the PMNRF to the next of kin of those deceased. Moving on in world news, US President Joe Biden and Russia's Vladimir Putin began their first summit in Geneva since Biden took office. The two leaders shook hands while appearing briefly before the cameras. The two were first greeted by the Swiss President Guy Parmelin. Before sitting down for a small meeting, Putin thanked President Joe Biden for his initiative to meet in Geneva. He expressed hope that his meeting with US President Joe Biden in Geneva would be productive. For Biden's part, he said the two leaders would try to determine areas of cooperation and mutual interest. He also said that it is always better to meet face to face. In South Asia, heavy rains triggered floods, leaving 7 people missing in Nepal, authorities said. Nepal Home Ministry official Dilkumar Tamang said 7 people were missing after overnight rains in Sindhupal Chowk district, which borders Tibet region of China. It triggered flash floods in the Melmachi River, inundating dozens of homes. Witnesses said several people in Melamchi had moved to higher ground with their belongings, while army helicopters were rescuing those trapped in marooned houses. Peruvian socialist candidate Pedro Castillo claimed victory in a presidential election after clinging on to a narrow lead as a lengthy vote count ended, although his right-wing rival pledged to fight the result and has yet to concede. Castillo ended the count 44,058 votes ahead of Keiko Fujimori, who has made allegations of fraud with little proof and has tried to get some votes annulled. The result of the 6th June ballot has not been formally announced by electoral authorities, but Castillo hailed the win on Twitter. Castillo's Free Peru party has rejected accusations of fraud, and international observers in Lima have said that the elections were transparent. And with that, it's a wrap, but news continues here on DD News and DD India. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.